Well, hello there and welcome back. This week we are going to be diving into a new topic today. Last time we got together we were talking about how the standard deals with the changes to documentation, which is a strange, somewhat confusing topic. But so we're done with that now though, right?
Well, not exactly.
Oh, good.
Today's topic is related to documentation.
The documentation the standard doesn't mandate but alludes to, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. You're right. It doesn't. What we're going to talk about today, the standard doesn't specifically say how you're going to document or how you need to document a documented procedure, but it does. What we're going to talk about does say you need to capture it.
So yeah, this is a whole new requirement in the standard. There actually hasn't been anything like this before. The new standard calls this organizational knowledge, and it's clause 7.1.6. Which we'll take a look at that in detail in just a moment. But just to clarify, organizational knowledge is not what the standard says about competence, just for clarity.
You're right. Training in the standard that we're currently used to working with is typically defined, and in fact, competence is defined in a combination of education, training, and experience. And these requirements still exist in the current standard, but that's not what we're...
They've actually even amplified those.
Yes, they have.
In the new standard.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about those changes in the next episode as we unpack those clauses on training, on competence and awareness.
Very good. So, organizational knowledge. We'll take a look at this. We'll kind of break it down. 7.1.6 organizational knowledge says, the organization shall determine the knowledge necessary for the operation of its processes and to achieve conformity of products and services. This knowledge shall be maintained and be made available to the extent necessary. When addressing changing needs and trends, the organization shall consider its current knowledge and determine how to acquire or access any necessary additional knowledge and required updates.
So what we're really talking about here is tribal knowledge. Organizations across the country, in many of the ones that we're working with, they're worried about the workforces getting older. And when they leave and retire, a lot of the knowledge of how their processes actually operate effectively or potentially walk out the door when they go. In fact, it's been a few years ago, we were talking with a nationally known boat building company, and they were looking at ISO 9000 for that specific reason. Was their workforce is getting older, and building a boat, like many other industries, is art form as well as just technical. And so what they're afraid of is their workforce, when they retire, they're going to lose all that information. And so that's the tribal knowledge that the standard is looking that you're going to be capturing.
Try to put something in place to not lose that.
Yeah.
So the standard clarifies in a note, note 1, organizational knowledge is knowledge specific to the organization. It is generally gained by experience. It is information that is used and shared to achieve the organization's objectives.
We find it kind of interesting that even after going to great pains in the standard to eliminate the words procedure and actually eliminating the requirement to document much of anything, here they're telling you that this is a requirement that you need to be capturing this tribal knowledge.
That's true. They're careful to say the knowledge is to be maintained, but they don't actually say maintained documentation, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. If not captured in documented procedure, Mike, how would you capture it? But not documented procedure. I should say maintained information.
Politically correct here. Any number of ways you could do, like flow charts, matrices, pictures, diagrams. I think with the way things are nowadays, you could even use videos if you wanted to.
Are you saying this video is tribal knowledge?
I'm saying we might wonder which tribe you've escaped from. But back on track, there's another note that the standard does add for further clarification. In note 2, organizational knowledge can be based on A, internal sources, for example, intellectual property, knowledge gained from experience, lessons learned from failures and successful projects, capturing and sharing undocumented knowledge and experience, the results of improvements in processes, products and services, and B, external sources. For example, standards, academia, conferences, gathering knowledge from customers or external providers.
Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting to see how auditors plan to actually audit this.
What do you
thing.
think that they're going to be looking for?
I think, number one, I think there's going to be quite a bit of latitude here, because it's not telling you, the standard isn't saying you got to do A, B, and C, and so, but what they are going to be looking for is that you have a process that you've identified tribal knowledge that as applies to your organization, and you've captured it. And I think they're also going to be looking to see how you're managing that too. So
It's like the old maxim, it's not what you think about that gets you in trouble, it's what you don't think about.
yeah, we've always said this is a thinking game. So this is the kind of thing where you need to give some thought, and you need to do this effectively.
Thomas Edison once said that there's almost no length a man will go to avoid thinking.
My wife has known that for years.
Well, in a moment, we're going to talk about next week's topic and how this ties into what we've been discussing about organizational knowledge. So we'll address that in a moment.
Learn all about AS9100 Rev D with our new online course. This is the best resource to rapidly get you caught up on what's changed and what's new. Our course guides you through each part of the standard and teaches you how to implement it within your own organization. Each section is broken into bite-sized pieces, allowing you to work through the standard at your own pace. You can access the course as many times as you want, making this the #1 resource for when you need a quick refresh on a specific topic. Buy it today and get the guidance you need to achieve your Rev D certification.
Okay, so next week we're going to be talking about training, right?
Yeah, but like everything else, it's going to be with a little bit of a twist.
Oh, great. Are we talking like M. Night Shyamalan kind of twist? Or?
Well, maybe not quite that bad, but it's going to be training like you expect it to be, but with, of course, an added requirement. Plus, the other thing is you're going to be needing to think about what we talked about today. How might you be expected, or how might you need to add what you tribal knowledge stuff that you into your training program? Otherwise, how are you conveying that to people, actually your new people that are coming on board? So.
That's good, yeah. So this week's topic is kind of a setup piece because, again, you're going to need to kind of consider that when we talk about the various training measures and so forth. So that'll do it for this week. As always, we invite your questions, your feedback, your comments. If you want us to talk about anything here on the show, we'd love to answer anything specific. You can email us, you can hit us up on our website. Any way that you want to get a hold of us will be fine. And until then, we will see you next week.
You know, I might have some tribal blood in me. I'm good in the woods.
We should have left him in the woods.